Hello everyone, hope you're doing well. It's time to have a look at a Danish vehicle that is being added to the game for the Swedish tech tree. This is the M24DK, and it may look familiar to you. And the reason for this is because it's a copy of a vehicle we already have in the game. This is the Chaffee that you will find in the American tech tree, in the Japanese tech tree, and I believe also the Italian tech tree. The cool thing about this one, though, is that it seems to have a bit of extra stuff on it. So some bags and then also some kind of little decorations here and there to make it look different to the other ones, which, is always a nice little touch. Now, the Danish in the Swedish tech tree usually gets relegated to some premium vehicles. You have, some of them which are around, and then you also have some of the Nordic stuff too. So it's nice to see it being represented in the standard tech tree in the form of the M24DK. It's actually on the left-hand side between the PVKV3 and also the PVKV2. And what's really cool is they've stuck it at rank 3. The reason why this is important is for dailies. Dailies can be performed. The first daily is performed with a rank 2 or higher, whereas the second daily is performed with a rank 3 or higher. Special tasks can only be with rank 3s or higher. And also challenges, pages of history, general events, everything kind of contingent is, or the rank 3 makes it so you can do all of the different things. So this will have way more use at rank 3 than it would at rank 2. That is why when you have a look at the Japanese Chaffee or this Chaffee being at rank 3, it makes a massive difference and a boost to it, whereas the American one, which actually sits at rank 2, kind of loses out because it isn't able to do all of these different things. Also, the Chaffee in the Italian tech tree getting the rank 3 nature means that it's also useful for these types of things. So understand that even though this is kind of like a copy, it's a very, very useful copy because of where it's situated in the tech tree. Now, the vehicle has access to a 75mm M6 cannon. This cannon has access to the M61 shot, which they have changed in this update. I think it has less explosive mass in it, but generally it'll be fine. And also, it gets access to the stock M72, which is slightly worse than the M61. So you want to run the M61 on this. You also, at the same time, want to use the stabilizer to your massive advantage because this thing has a vertical stab, so it can usually get the shot off before everybody else. It also has a 5-man crew, but they are tightly packed in this vehicle, as you can see. And also, you have a bunch of little subsystems that are around the place that kind of cram them in at the same time. The vehicle also has a 50 cal. Massive boost. The 50 cal makes a huge difference because it can go after aircraft. It can also deal with lighter targets. Never ever be sad when a 50 cal is about, because it means that you can defend yourself against threats that usually you can't. If you actually have a look at the Swedish tech tree, the PVKV dies to cast very easily. The PVKV2 dies to cast very easily. So does this. So does this. This, I mean, is technically an AA, but it's an anti-tank vehicle. These also died to cast very easily. So all of these, apart from maybe these two, and then maybe the Comet as well, die to cast super easily. So to have a vehicle that has a 50 cal, which is a light tank, which can be a bit more mobile, will be really nice to have at this BR, because you'll be able to actually survive alongside stuff like the Panzer IV, for example, and then also, stuff like the L62 or even something like the PVKV3 while playing it. And that's nice. I generally think that's a huge positive. It does get scouting as well, since it's a light vehicle, which gives it an extra string to the bow. Airstrike means that you can get into planes quicker, and there's quite a few nice little airplanes around this BR for the Swedish tech tree. And yeah, so you can't really be mad at that. The upper glacis is not great. It's a light vehicle. You're not going to be able to stop many rounds. It has 25mm on the upper glacis. You also have 25mm on the lower glacis. The kind of cannon area or the gun mantlet is only 40mm, and around that is also 40 on the turret. 25 on the sides, and then 20 on the booty. And on the back of the turret, you have 25 too. So it's not going to generally be able to stop a lot of stuff. Instead, it's just going to get mishmashed. It's going to be okay against certain autocannons, but that's about it. That's why having the stabilizer on this gun is so important, because the stabilizer basically means that you can always shoot first if you are paying attention. Now, one of the things that this vehicle doesn't get, that I wish or hope it will in the future, is smoke grenades. This thing doesn't have any way of firing smokes. Instead, you have to rely on bringing the M64 smoke shell, which is fine to do because the reload on this vehicle can get down to 6.5 seconds, but it would just be kind of nice to actually have, another vehicle which has access to smokes and a few other things for this tech tree. You also have the standard camo, which is kind of like a brown one. You got the bicolor one, which is probably the nicest, and then the unicolor white one, which is pretty standard too. So hopefully at some point we can get some more Danish camos, and then also we can get some more Danish voice lines and all of that stuff too, to kind of go along with the vehicle. It's nice that they decided to make Sweden more of like a Northern European tech tree, and that means that we can get more vehicles into it of a kind of fun nature from different nations, whether it be Norway, whether it be Denmark, whether it be Finland, and just kind of give people a lot of a nicer time of kind of grinding through it. Because what could have happened, and what did happen when Sweden came out, was you had a bunch of vehicles that generally were okay, but also had a bunch of functional issues with them because of the fact that they were either prototypes or because of the fact they had, problems in different areas, whether it was with rounds, having to hope for the APD, having to research the APDS, or just, being on chassis with pretty much no armor. Getting some kind of bog standard vehicles in the tech tree that are, reliable from other tech trees isn't a bad idea. It doesn't take away, the uniqueness of it, because you can still play the unique vehicles. The only thing I would say is it would be nice if they did kind of like a research reduction on if you played the vehicles before. We've entered a time in War Thunder where, in order to kind of create balance in the game, Gaijin has decided to add basically a bunch of the same vehicle to a bunch of different tech trees, and this is kind of the most recent iteration of that, with this being, I think, the 4th tech tree that has got a Chaffee. There's a few in the American tech tree, the standard M24 and then the M24TL, and then of course the ones that we talked about previously. So I think in general it would be quite nice if with these vehicles, and if they decide to do the other American Danish vehicles that exist, stuff like the M10 and also the Sherman, that they actually give kind of some bonus research towards these vehicles or bonus discounts if you played it in other tech trees. Give people more incentives to be able to play this stuff. Because the Chaffee itself is really fun, It's a vehicle that has a good punchy gun. The stabilizer basically means that you can, do really well with it. The mobility is also really nice, and it just means that you have a great time wandering about. And the Swedish tech tree has a lot of cool areas in it too, which basically make it really fun to play at the same time. And I would hate for people to miss out on vehicles in the Swedish tech tree because they start looking at it as just a copy-paste tech tree because they're adding stuff like this in. This fills a gap, but also is fun, and I'm hoping that it entices people instead of turns them away from a very, very enjoyable tech tree. As always, I hope you have a wonderful day, and I'll see you next time.
I'd just like to thank GMG Smiley, CD Beans, Chieftain Mike, EMN3 Galaxy, Tulio Pontecorvo, Brendan Quinn, Carrion Crow, Gus Irenicus, Pyman, Warthunder, Teddy, Daniel Stanton, Martinez, B. Young, Ozzy Panzer, Alan Hacker, Liam Shear, Opium Prime, Lafouche, Sem, Aslan, Uncle Bean, and Derek R. for supporting the channel.